keeping with our theme of this season, we're kind of continually running through the league on our Patreon episodes, cycling through the same 4 concepts, kind of getting deeper into the season each time. And now this is the second time. This is now today's episode will complete our second full cycle. And that means that we are going to do all NBA teams once again. First team, second team, third team. Now we're 30 games into the season, which is crazy. I know we're like within shouting distance of it's. We're gonna blink, and it's gonna be 41 games played. It's gonna be like, wow, we're halfway done with this marathon. I haven't talked to you about the NBA in general before I start with my first team. Give me like one random NBA thought that you have that you just can't wait to get off your chest.
Speaking of WFUV Sports, I very loudly went on their basketball podcast before the season started and said the Warriors would be a 50-plus win team.
Of course, this is the thing that you're gonna.
And that Steph was my MVP pick. And now, as you said, we're 30 games in, and I am mad that I was right. So to begrudgingly credit my to a tolerable degree co-host Fritz from San Francisco, who reminds me probably every day that the Warriors have won several championships in our lifetime. I think they've been really good. And I think that, and the reason I chose them is because I think the fact that you can take the KFS roster and surround Steph Curry with that, and he can shit out a 52 win squad. And I'm not saying that last year wasn't an aberration. I just mean that you take people like Wiseman and Oubre.
Yeah, but they didn't know how to play in that
equation. It's read and react. It's Kerr, read and react.
Yeah.
And much like how Evan Fournier plays like dog shit when he gets a shot diet comprised entirely of shots that he didn't take in his entire stint in Orlando. You're going to get bad results when you set things up for failure. So I just think you managed to sneak a Thibodeau shot in a general NBA point. That was not lost on me. Well, when I'm on a pod with Macri, Jonathan, I love getting to intellectually challenge Saint Thomas Thibodeau because Tom Thibodeau has a certain a quarter. Tom Thibodeau has someone who made the All NBA team last year that he has to I'll say deal with and cater to, so as it were, that may have a little bit something to do with how Evan Fournier is. Well, Tom Thibodeau in his lifetime has forgotten more about basketball than I'll ever know. This is very true. This is, I will give him that. But I just wanted to say, I think that my point here was my point, and it's that I think that after this season, especially depending on the Warriors' postseason success, I was about to say this, potential lack thereof, people's all-time top 10 lists should, and I won't say will, I will say should shake up a little bit because there should be someone entering the arena at 10. Maybe not at a 7, 8, or 9, but at 10. I think someone's poking his head I think really strongly into that comment. I think it is fair to I never got to watch Magic Johnson or Larry Bird, and I preface what I'm about to say by saying that because my understanding is those were two superstars who were pretty gosh darn easy to play with. I think in my lifetime of watching basketball, the superstar that has probably been easiest to play with, whether you're another star player or the 12th guy on the bench, is Tim Duncan. And I think Steph is maybe a step even above Duncan because you know what? Not a step above. They're very different players. But I think he's the superstar that is the easiest to play with. It doesn't matter if you're Kevin Durant. If it's Kevin Durant, it's easy to play with Steph Curry. If it's Jordan Poole, it's easy for you to play with Steph Curry. And I think Draymond, deserves some credit too because he's part of all this. For sure. I think speak of not lost on me. It was not lost on me last year in the Warriors down year. The Draymond slander. I think people were really quick to just be like, this guy can't put up 6 points a game. So he's washed and we need to trade him to Portland like they've always wanted, and all these other ridiculous takes I saw from the Dubs fan base.
Everything's context. It's all context. It's what kind of context are you putting in it?
He's a very key cog in that machine. Even if not built of the strongest titanium or wherever the hell that analogy.
No, but like you said, let's see how the postseason goes, and let's see if Draymond's occasional inability / unwillingness to, score will hurt them more.
Warriors, Suns, Jazz, and if Murray and Leonard come back, I think the Clippers and Nuggets are up there too. The West, despite the attention, I feel like being on the East this year, the West still has like a shit ton of really good teams.
I think a lot of it depends on those two guys. All right, we're dancing around a lot of let's get right into it, because we're dancing around a lot of first team conversation and stuff that trickles down into the second team. So why don't we start with the guy you just brought up, Steph Curry. I don't think anyone on the first team has a designation of easiest person to name on the first team. I think it's probably a four. I think it's a four-way tie between Curry, and I'll just name my three other first teamers, Jokic, Giannis, and KD. There's literally no argument for not having Curry on the first team. There's no argument for not having Jokic on the first team. There's no argument for not having Durant on the first team.
You don't think there's an argument for Embiid over Jokic?
Oh wow, oh boy, you're gonna have some reactions as we move forward in this podcast.
You did not third team him.
I'm not gonna say anything until we get to it.
Fuck.
So all I will say is I'll save my Embiid stuff. I'll just say for right now there is no argument, and then I'll get to some other stuff. No argument for KD, and then Giannis. Again, I don't. The only reason I hesitated for like a half a second on Giannis is because, and I'm not going to skip the last first team spot, but I do at least want to acknowledge this. The Bucks have, I don't want to say the Bucks have underperformed because they've been hurt, but like as we sit here right now, the Bucks are in fifth place in the Eastern Conference. They're 19-13. Now there's a bunch, as again, we're recording this on 7/21 on Wednesday evening. There are 4 teams that have 19 wins in the East: the Bulls, the Cavs, the Heat, and the Bucks. Giannis has missed some time. He has played in 26 games. It's not a ton of time that he's missed. Missed a little bit of time. That said, the only other guy who you would potentially have in the conversation for one of the first team forward spots is DeMar DeRozan. And I wanted to mention DeRozan here because in my mind, those 5 players, Curry, Jokic, Durant, Giannis, and DeRozan have been just without question the 5, whatever you want to say, 5 best players in the sport, 5 most impactful, positively impactful players in the sport. But any disagreement with any of that?
I want to say in regards to the Milwaukee conversation that I think multiple things can be true there. I think it can be true that if things continue,
and they've been hurt, we should say there's been injuries left and right with them.
So this leads right into my point, which is that, given that they've been hurt, I think it can be true that Giannis might not be like this, MVP super candidate or whatever, like, cause that team, like you said, they're 5th. But it can also be true that if, it depends on the extent to which you're involving projections in this, but if you think Milwaukee is going to keep playing like they have with everyone healthy, which I think everyone and their mother does, then you have Giannis first team and you're going to have Giannis first team. Yeah.
And here's why it's not a conversation. So I periodically read off the on-off metric for cleaning the glass, which again, I want to be very specific. If the guy backing you up, or like not necessarily even the guy backing you up, if like your team's second team is very weak, or like your coach has like rotations where it's like he just puts guys on the floor that struggle a lot, this number is going to be very good. That being said, it is notable that Giannis Antetokounmpo is in the 97th percentile in this stat. The Bucks are 17.5 points better when he's on than when he's off. And then you go to his usage rate, 100th percentile in usage for bigs across the league, 98th percentile for assists for bigs across the league. Points per shot attempt, that's the only place he's dragging, and that's why he's not, I don't think, going to get any serious MVP conversation. But like, look, guy is averaging 27 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. It's a block and a half a game and a steal a game, and it's like, okay, great. And you know what his reward's going to be? His reward is he's not going to be one of the 3 finalists named for MVP. That's insane, but that's the world we live in right now.
Voter fatigue.
Well, I mean, he didn't win it last year.
Well, it happened to LeBron James. So, I'm not going to sit here and say, he should have 4 more MVPs than he does. I'm not going to sit here and say he should have 2 more than he does. I will say that I think maybe LeBron should have 1 more than he does. And maybe, or more definitely than maybe, he was underranked a couple times because of.
I think your LeBron argument is better. Happens. No, your LeBron argument is better because there was no question for at least a 10-year period in the league who the best player was. There was zero question about that. It was LeBron James. I think this is different because if you ask either an average NBA fan or a very knowledgeable NBA fan who the best player in the league is right now, you could. I think you could get 4 different answers. And some
people would say Jokic. Yep.